Good morning, Nancy.
And good evening to the hotel guys.
Oh, Nancy, we're doing 2 days in a row back to back. It's like
I
a
know
sports event from
it's really
Southeast Asia.
it's
So
it's only appropriate. We're
yeah,
the Olympics of India, right?
Ah, very good.
right.
Part two.
Part two. And so, of course, you know how we like to start with maps. We'll just go back to a map of India. And today we're going to talk about just really two quick places, Mahabalipuram, which is a historical site from the 7th and 8th century. And then the hotel that we stayed in Chennai, you see just north of the red dot there.
The Trident
And
Chennai.
so those are the two places that we're going to talk about. Shall we just get started?
So Nancy, first of
Oh,
all, I just have to ask you if you went out and had Indian food last night after our mouth-watering photos that we shared with you.
no, but that sure would have been a good idea. But I'll tell you what I did do is I spent quite a bit of time today going back and looking at the life of Sri Aurobindo and
Ah,
reacquainting myself with that.
yeah.
And I really want to go to that ashram. I just think that would be it's the only place in India that really calls to me.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, we are going
get
with a
it.
friend to India in the spring of 25. It's in the works. So we'll sometime meet you in India as well.
Oh my goodness.
Would
We'll
be
we'll talk about that. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So was there a nugget that you learned in kind of reviewing his life and research that
Yes, I was reminded that he was very politically oriented in his younger life, and it was actually his experience in jail that put him in touch with a spiritual side of his life,
Wow.
and that spiritual side took over and dominated him in throughout the rest of his life.
Well, I mean, of
Oh,
course, we are
thank you.
we are bleeding over, but now that reminds me of something that I read in my speed reading right before yesterday's prep, that the second husband of the mother, brother or some family member buried the British directive to arrest the Indian nationalists who were part of an uprising, and he sort of like put the paperwork away, and it prevented from Aurobindo being summarily uh, kind of rounded up with some of the other rabble rousers by the British
Yes.
in Pondicherry. But we're going north today of there. But
Okay.
that's so
Though.
interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So this definitely is part two
You two are awesome.
of India. So we will put on our share and start with, here we are. We've been to Mahabalipuram twice, right, Rich?
You know, we were there in 2018, and this was like many places you think, oh, you just will visit and do the tourist kind of walk through once, and then you will never return. And so when Paul suggested that once we left Auroville, our driver transported us actually along the coastline. So we had a whole different kind of view, and the countryside is gorgeous down there. And so here we are just navigating like maybe an hour and a half to get to Mahabalipuram.
Yeah, along the coast.
And this time we found a tour guide, and we thought, okay, let's just see how long, this tour is going to be to see these ancient ruins in Mahabalipuram. And it was like, okay, 90 minutes. And, having been there in 18 and knowing what we knew and the photographs that I shot back then, Paul's got some of those, so you'll see kind of retro us from that era. We look like porn stars, I think, but anyway.
I didn't think so.
So I did. Maybe it was the mustache. But this site right along the shoreline has a Chinese influence, and this is kind of like something new for us to see when we returned.
Well, it has some other influences as well, because it was one of two port city areas. There was an inland an empire, the Pallava. Now I feel like I'm getting it wrong. Pallava kingdom in the 7th and 8th century. That was the main city was an hour and a half inland, and
7th.
Mahabalipuram was one of the two port cities, and from there they developed and cultivated these religious temples. This particular one is the shore temple. And then there's a group of 5, what they call rathas or chariots types, and they're structures. And these are stone carved. This is carved out of stone.
Yeah, granite.
Yeah.
You know, the
It's so interesting because it looks like, in a picture, it almost looks like a sand carving.
Yeah.
It does. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So here is this stuff that's excavated in the foreground that's below the current level was uncovered. A lot of this stuff, I mean, this entire shore temple was buried until the mid 20th century.
So this was
Yeah.
rediscovered in the 40s, mid 40s,
And
by the British, correct?
yes, yeah. It was when the British Raj had it. And this particular shore temple is only one of 6 known temples that go out. It's a fairly shallow ocean shelf. And so as the water rose over time, or as the need changed, or the port location changed, they kept rebuilding the shore temples on higher ground. So in the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami that
Killed so many people in
yeah,
this region.
it's killed a lot of people in this region,
Worldwide.
and it killed a whole lot of people worldwide, as
Yeah.
we know. They were when the water receded, they could see it. It kind of churned up some of the old stuff that was out. This kind of underwater archaeology stuff. And
Which was underwater like 27 feet.
yeah,
So
which isn't very deep.
when the ocean pulled out, then the new reveal of a big mega community was
Oh.
out there, and then the water came back in.
And the fishermen would, I think when they were finding these original, even before the tsunami, the fishermen were telling the archaeologists where out in the water, the underwater stuff, the previous 5 shore temples were. Now, this is an adjacent area. It's not currently connected to the shore temple, but I was just reading that they had a master plan that they've put in place. They take very good care of this place.
They do.
And they're going to connect this. This is an area that's not so far away. It's a few minutes drive, and it's going to be connected so you can walk along the shore between this area and the shore temple. And this is referred to as the 5 rathas. And
All
ratha,
solid granite.
yeah, ratha typically is it means chariots, but this is all carved out. You see the little rubble rocks to the right? Those were all remnants of, this was like one big hill that they removed all of the rock around these temple structures, creating this art.
So this is Paul back in 18. I love this photo. We
were
How did you do that photo?
Oh, it's something, what's
Google
it
it.
called? Panorama.
Panorama
You
on
can
your phone.
you can take a shot, and then I start with a shot on the left, and
Now
then I
step this way, and then I click again.
click again, and it seams the picture together.
Okay, we've got a lawnmower
Yeah,
going. I've got to close this
Probably
door.
can't hear it, but so this is some close-up pictures of the 5 rathas, and this is when we were here on this current trip. And yeah, we've got some noise in the background. You probably don't hear anything, but
No.
so, and then there are a bunch of, but you can see these really extraordinary. Now, they've been exposed. This area was not impacted by the tsunami, and you can see these are a little bit worn, but still pretty dynamic in their carvings.
Well, I'm just surprised that, like many places are protected and you can't necessarily climb up and around them for photos, but not here.
Yeah, you can get
It's
up.
solid granite.
You
It's
can
probably-
you can get up on it. And this whole, and some of the stuff that we talked about in Sri Lanka as well from the same time period, this really influenced a lot of other cultures, including the development of Southeast Asia in the 12th century in Cambodia, and I'm not sure when in Vietnam, but after the 7th and 8th century current era.
So Nancy, if you look close, I didn't see this before, but our guide, who was lovely, pointed out that one of these carvings
On the left,
with the breast
yeah,
only has one breast.
this one here.
And so it's actually representing, you know, the balance of our energy as male and female. So yeah, it's
Interesting.
little things you get to see,
A little
like
bit.
another layer just kind of gets revealed, right? So
Well, and so interesting that way back, when that was carved, that was obviously a dominant idea in the culture of this balance of
Right.
male and female.
And part of what was unique about this too was that because it was a port city, they have excavated coins that were both Roman and Chinese. And then, in fact, they found coins from this era, this Pallava dynasty area, which was a 3rd to 9th century current era
Yeah.
kingdom. But they used the port, but they didn't create these religious sort of temple orientations until the 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
Now, you notice that we always like a picture sometimes with a person in it for scale. But just note this young man because he comes up later on, but we hadn't met him when we took this picture, but we met him
I'll tell
in
that
short
story.
order. Rich will tell you the story.
Yeah.
So some of the carvings that you see here on the shore temple are very oriental in even the rounding of the domes.
Yeah.
So there was some definite architectural influence from there. And of course, the kids come
Okay.
and learn about their culture.
School kids, hello. You know,
So-
you see them
Oh,
walk in and the girls are together and the
Boys
boys
are together in the back
have their
climbing.
thing. And are they not precious?
Yeah.
And so,
they are just adorable.
yes. And as you know, as a once teacher, I see these big flocks of children from time to time, and you're kind of like, oh boy, what's going to happen? These kids were so chill, so
Well, were
excited
they?
to be
Okay,
there.
they were excited. But it's also just a lovely look in on the current culture too. You see the women's sari, no two are
Yeah.
alike. It's just awesome. Here
Yeah.
they are kind of doing,
This was cute. The teacher was going, okay, I want half of you on one side, half on the other. And they were like all trying to do the math and figure out what's
hadn't-
50-50.
I hadn't realized that.
Yes, yes.
So, and then there also were these, these enclosed, you can step in to these cave-like structures, and we're going to show you a big cave later. And just extraordinary. This was all rock. They just removed everything that you don't see was removed. Just one big rock, and they created all this. Pretty extraordinary. All of this was just one big rock, and they created all of this.
I just
Wow,
seen it
that's hard to
again.
believe with the tools that they had available back then.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now this is maybe precedes the 5 Rathas. This is a pretty old. It's a pretty old cave structure that they dug into and created.
Out of this big
rock.
long rock.
Speaking of big rocks, this is natural.
Whoa.
This is natural.
It's called, Nancy, it's called the gigantic Butterball Rock.
Perfect name.
and
the day that we were
Yeah.
there, we were blessed because it was overcast and there was a light rain that would just kind of come and go.
Yeah.
So we weren't like dripping with sweat, and we had been there before in 18, and I'm thinking, okay, we're older now. Here's a risk. Are we going to go up this big rock that actually, eroded away when you think of geologically from that perspective, and it leaves this big butterball granite boulder sitting right there.
And it looks like it's a bit precarious. And I believe somebody told us that they've even tried to, for safety purposes, sometime over the course of time, current time, they tried to remove it. Like they tried to take it down and they can't get it off.
Oh, you're right. I remember
Yeah, I
that
didn't
story.
think of that until just now. All right, here's the young man who we then met and
Well, this kid, it was so wonderful. We're, exploring and standing and looking at the rock and not climbing up there and endangering our knees or our body in any way. And he just walks up to me in like perfect English and he's like, "Hi, where are you from?" And so, long story short, he is going to be in Denver, Colorado, like mid-August. And he is doing cybersecurity school for a master's degree, and it's like an 18-month program. So, you know, we exchanged information. We had this like instant connection. And then I hear from him like a couple days later, and he tells me, he's like, do you know anyone in Denver, Colorado that kind of, you know, can show me the ropes and, you know, just kind of offer me some support when I'm there. So if anyone is from Denver, Colorado and wants to adopt this super bright guy and a super bright light, you know, drop us a line at hotelguys.com and
No,
we'll give you
me.
you
Me,
want
me,
to
me.
adopt him. Well, you can go to
No.
actually,
I've got my niece lives in right
Oh,
outside
right.
of Denver.
oh,
Okay.
seriously.
Yeah, well, we'll send
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
his
Well, as
messages.
my Instagram posted, you know, I'll say Hotel Guys 1, but he's travel guide blogger on Instagram. So
Well,
if
we'll
anyone's
talk about this
observing,
later, but yes, I would love, he just looks delightful.
he is. So travel guide blogger.
Right, and it was only later that we realized from that previous picture, it's like, oh,
There he
there's
is
the young
again.
man.
So it's like the universe just like allowed us to crash. And, you know, sometimes we will say we have friends for a day and we crash
Yes.
into somebody and we just have a wonderful
Yep.
time. Well, in this case, it was just like 3 minutes,
Yeah,
but
that's
how?
how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I wish him well.
So the descendants of these artisans that created this amazing popular tourist destination are still at work. And these represent current
Works.
sculptures.
Yes. And you would just drive by.
Isn't that incredible?
They're like
Oh my gosh,
lightning
they're
low.
magnificent.
And we have more to
Yes.
share of the
They're
current stuff.
magnificent. I wanted one.
But before we show you some more of the current day sculptures, which are amazing, here is some throwback pictures.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's
See?
like we have changed quite a bit, I would think.
This is why I grow my hair long, Nancy,
Yeah.
because when I travel a long time, I just really get some really bad
So we
haircuts.
had t-shirts back in the day. They went through the washer once too many times. You know how that goes. And
We got our
Yeah.
money's worth
we
out
got
of
our
those
money's worth,
hotel
but
guys.
we're in front of that same cave structure, but right adjacent to the cave structure here to the right
Wow.
is this
Yeah.
amazing this is a scene from the Mahabharata, which is of course
Yes.
one of the very well-known Indian epics from the 3rd and 4th century before the current epoch. So it goes way back. That tells the story.
They're storyboards.
Yeah.
Like in the cave, you know, our guide was just explaining from left to right.
Yeah, I'm
all
sorry.
the
Sorry,
story.
we can't recount what any of this represents off the top of our heads.
Are you going to show the video?
I didn't cram. Oh, I didn't realize this was a 1-minute video.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's
Because
just
you'll get a close look.
you probably don't hear it. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna mute that because
Oh my gosh, look at the detail.
yeah, it's really held up well. This also is 7th, 8th century,
And there's a little pagoda that has a Buddha in it. You
Very
can kind
sweet.
of see.
and it's raining.
Yeah.
So these are all little bits of the Mahabharata epic stories. Arjuna, and I'm trying to
Yep.
remember parts of what I can remember. You see the ascetics and the kings and
Okay,
the
and see the big
warriors.
snake coming up the center to the sun and to the
This
moon.
is very cool.
Right in front of the big.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So, you know,
Oh wow.
that
Mm.
snake image just appears over and over and over in
Right.
time.
Yeah, across cultures. So cool. So this is another little away from what we've shown you, but there are other places nearby that they just carved this. You can imagine it's like a big butterball that they created this out of.
Yeah, you can see the
practically.
base of that rock
Yeah.
still in its rough form.
So we climbed up here. This is actually a picture from before, but we did climb up both times. And this acted as a lighthouse. They would like build a fire or something on top of this in order to call the
Guide
ships
people
in,
in.
guide people in
Yeah.
from the water. And it's very cool. And so now we have a few more pictures of the current architecture.
I asked our guide, are these expensive or are people able to buy these? And he is just shaking his head. He goes, they're very
Yeah.
expensive. But the
But
level, I mean,
aren't
this
they
is
stunning?
like black granite.
Yeah,
And there are so many different little
glorious.
shops of small carvings, large
This
carvings.
stuff is just piled up along the side of the road in some places as you drive.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in town, and it's pretty amazing.
Look at this
And
guy.
some again with the
And then look at the
Hindu.
head of, who is that guy, that statue?
Well,
He
it's
looks like,
probably Shiva in some representation of Shiva because the snake over the head represents
I'm
sort of the
talking about the little
Kundalini.
the
Oh,
bust down below.
well,
Is
that's
that
Lenin. This is Lenin. I'm not quite sure why he's there. The communist part of India is Kerala on the other coast, but
Oh,
I would say that's Lenin. I mean, it could be an Indian guy. Maybe it's some
yeah.
more current
I
Indian
just now noticed
prominent
his head.
person. No, that's Buddha, if you want to know.
That's
that
the one, Nancy, I want to ship back to Portland, but
Oh,
we have-
no, I was just gonna say, oh my gosh, I want that head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Would-
awesome.
Yeah.
So
that would look
anybody-
good outside your front door.
well, her floating home would probably, the dock would be underwater.
Well,
I'm afraid.
we'd have to put it in the middle of the living room.
We know how your water level can fluctuate and kind of make things precarious
Well, I
for
think
you.
we just put it in the dead center. She'll just have to walk
Dust
My
away.
way around it.
yeah.
They're amazing though.
So, and of course,
Ooh.
here's just the yummy snacks
Stop it, more like salivating time.
yeah, but these are like
yes.
Indian snacks. They're very in between meal, reach for
Yeah.
a lovely
A bag of things.
morsel. And then
All right,
this
talk about that.
So we went to a seafood place for lunch the day that we were just
Red
there.
snapper.
And we put this in there. There's no particular reason that we put it in.
It made us stop eating
It's just,
fish.
but we just wanted it. We didn't really like it, and we decided that we've said that we've been we eat chicken and fish and no other meats, and then
Yeah.
for otherwise vegetables and such.
So
But now we don't even eat seafood anymore.
So
It's
no, it's just too much. So he asked us, do you want it, with the Indian sauce or do you want it just butter and garlic? Well,
that was the
immediately
butter and garlic.
that
version.
was supposed to be butter garlic. And I think I like the cucumbers and tomatoes more.
Yeah.
It just like the sauce messed up that fresh fish that just came from the nearby ocean.
So we are officially now cluckatarians because we only eat chicken.
Yeah, we just
Vegetarians.
don't trust the ocean waters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's it from Mahabalipuram, and we're going to show you the hotel that
Any
we stayed at.
questions?
Yeah.
We always have to ask any
Yeah.
questions
Or comments.
or comments. Yes.
So what keeps the local area alive? Is it tourism through
Yeah.
this,
I
basically?
would say yes, and that's a good question. And our guide pointed out to us that for some reason, Western and Europeans have really slacked off in visiting Mahabalipuram
Post-COVID.
post-COVID.
Yeah.
Yes, and there has been a now kind of an uptick
A new
of
influx.
Indian
Yeah, a new
travelers who are coming to this place, because in India, it seems like to us, now we've been there a total of 3 times in 10 months over that stretch of time. And it's like they often return to their homeland, and it's like always around a holiday. So, and it's their own celebrations with their family.
That a lot of their tourism is really focused around pilgrimage to Hindu sites for the
Yes.
Hindu population.
Yes, for these big
And
celebrations.
that this isn't necessarily that, but
No.
that it is a UNESCO site. I don't know if we mentioned that
No,
before,
we
but
didn't,
this
but
is the
that's-
UNESCO
Oh.
World Heritage
Yeah.
Site.
Oh, it is.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and they are
And what
doing-
exactly does that mean?
Well, it brings in some revenue for
So
one thing.
it's some support, but it's also, there are some stipulations that go with that regulate the way that it will develop. So it's a way that UNESCO can reach into various places and stabilize the way that some places will get developed. It might help to cause it from being overly
overly tourist and marketed, I think.
Yeah.
You know, there are guidelines, I think.
So,
that-
you know, they'll work with the local planning to put together, as they have in this case, a master plan that really makes it a very, well, it preserves it, number one. It does
Yeah.
provide some expertise and some financial support so that, you know, if they're looking, for example, in this instance with the shore and the salt water, there may be best practices shared about how to maintain and so on and so forth. So it's really like a best in the world practices way of trying to really
And I really don't
preserve
understand,
these sites.
you know, and we've been to many, and it's probably, you know, like your stamp of approval, and
Yeah.
it might draw you towards these sites. And yet
Yeah, it does, I think.
I've
Yeah.
often wondered, you know, how much control, once you get that approval, how much they really have and what the local people have to give up.
They give up something, I
And
think.
then my other question is, where does all that money come from, actually, that funds? I mean, they're worldwide, and fortunately, you know, people are aware that these need to be preserved and protected more than even, hell, 40 years ago.
Well, it comes from everywhere. I mean, it's like, it's just from each according to their ability to those in need. So the money just gets batched and it comes out of the United Nations. So
Is it?
yeah, I mean, that's the
Oh.
funding of the United Nations is a conglomeration of money from places like the United States and every other country.
Well, thank you,
That
Dr.
makes-
Paul.
No, they have their own printing press. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the Trident Hotel in Chennai.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Nancy, do you love the art behind us while he's moving on?
Yes,
Oh.
I love those wrinkled asses behind you.
Those
Yeah.
double buns.
No, you really want to see some wrinkled asses will stand
Oh,
up.
shh.
Um,
Hey, speak for yourself.
so,
All right, we really had a great stay.
so we splurged.
You know, we told you before in this last part 1 podcast on India that we had a $20 a night, lovely big apartment in Auroville, right? So every now and then you have to step it up, and Paul like finds the Trident in Chennai, and it's a chain. And it was like, as soon as we walked in the door, it's like, oh,
Finally, yes.
this is going to be nice. And just
So-
for one night.
Yeah, and it was adjacent to the airport. So it's like a 5-10 minute transfer across the way to the Chennai International Airport, which is a wonderful hub in India. And easy to come and go pretty much anywhere in the country. So
Boy, as the hotel guys, I just have to say, it was so professional. It was
Yeah.
so polished. It was such, like, from
Oh.
the moment we walked in. And this
Wow.
is an older building.
yeah, but it's just
Oh, yeah, you can tell it's lovely.
Yeah,
The
and
Trident brand of hotels, they have a handful. They're part of the Oberoi group of hotels in India, and anybody in India knows exactly what
yeah,
that is.
yeah.
OBER, Oberoi, OBEROI. And that is a really top-notch brand.
So
So
Jan-
here we are at the front
yeah,
desk.
this guy is the front reception manager, Janelle. And as soon as we met this guy,
He just took such good care of us
he
all
was
the way.
like really interested in us,
Yeah.
and we're the
So
Westerners.
he kind of asked about us, and we never name drop at the front desk, but we just
Like-
said, well, you know, we're
traveling,
we're
you know, full
traveling,
time.
and you know,
We have a travel
we have a
blog.
travel blog, and it's like, well, we actually review hotels in addition to.
Part of that
And
kind of
so,
hour.
so we never expect anything, but
No.
long story short, they upgraded us
This is the
the
lobby.
lobby.
Yeah, he leans over and looks at the computer and
and says,
whispers
give
her
us a minute.
a
and
little
we're
bit.
gonna
He goes, why
see-
don't you go and I'll have them bring you a
sit
beverage.
down, would you like coffee or tea? So we sat there, and he was very
Oh, he
staying
and what I
nearby.
loved about Janelle is like he has such a presence with every member of his staff, all the people that he greets.
Five
Like
star.
in the morning, he walks through the restaurant. I'll see him chatting. I mean, we were there less than, I don't know, 18.
Yeah, it was less than
14
it was
hours.
less than a day, but it was really wonderful.
And the price point, you know, it was a splurge for us,
Yeah,
but
with
we
dinner.
deserved
Yeah,
it.
we had the fancy dinner, and you know, we stayed, well, we're showing you
Yeah,
here.
this is
So-
our floor looking
So
down.
here he is. He took us up to the
Oh.
room. They just upgraded us to a nice little suite area instead of a standard hotel room. So here's a few
Wow.
pictures of the room. it's
Oh
very,
my,
Yeah,
very sleek, kind of
lovely.
business
yeah,
hotel
double
is
TVs.
how we kind of think of it, kind of business
Here's
hotel.
Paul just getting
approach.
his shoes off and having this bliss moment with his tea. A big palm tree in the corner. I mean, give me one plant in a hotel
Yeah,
room.
and
It's
that's
like
the bathroom. I mean, come
amazing.
on, so it was very comfortable for us for a night. And we're
Oh,
about to ready to start our travel to back to Indonesia. So these kind of comforts are really welcomed.
yeah, this was, again, one of those lovely days, a little bit of a shower and the pool area. I love the yellow chairs and umbrella. The plan
Oh,
is
it looks
like,
gorgeous.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
within 2
just
years,
really
they're
comfy.
talking about doing a upgrade,
Wow.
remodel on the property.
Wow.
But
So
I mean, the
wor-
marble floors throughout.
workout room.
Okay, so I'm out, just photo shooting and checking the property out. Paul's got his feet up back in the room, doing his reclining Buddha thing. And so I go into the spa, and this guy had spotted me like right away. And he just comes to the door and says, come in, come in. And so, he's like, trying to get me, uh, just schooling me on the property, the gym. And he's like, I would love to give you a complimentary steam. And can you come back at 4:30? And so I went back to the room, 4:30 hit. And his name is Bala, and he's been the manager of the hotel spa and gym for 23 years. And he is, I don't know.
23 years.
Yes. And our heart, he's just like, I see
It
you.
was amazing.
I see your light, and it was like I went into the steam room. He's like, I prepared it with eucalyptus for you. And I mean, it was like 5-star service. 5-star.
Oh,
Yeah.
Love that guy.
that's
Yeah.
well, but I love that he shared with you his impression of you. And,
Well, we
and
saw
that's
him
what
later at
Yeah,
dinner. We
thank you.
saw him later at dinner, and it was just, we felt so pampered, speaking of which.
Yeah.
So then we did go down to the dining room, and it's a fairly concise, we like places that aren't too big, especially 5-star places that don't feel gargantuan.
But they have a lot of rooms that surprise me.
Yeah, I know, but we were kind of in a very intimate part of the hotel, and it felt very intimate. They had this sprawling buffet
Multicultural kind of buffet.
cuisine
Yeah.
for dinner,
Chefs were really good.
which was awesome.
Yeah.
And so we had a beautiful dinner, and this is part of the
A lot of
desserts. And then there's a couple of the chefs that brought out to us a special dessert. We were finished with our meal.
And we were finished with our first round of dessert, which included
A couple of things, chocolate something.
gelato.
Yeah, nice.
Like we were full.
But they brought out this, and this is like, these are Indian
Oh,
treats. These are Indian dessert treats. And they put
1,
our
2,
little
3.
hotel guys one Instagram.
wow.
Yeah, enjoy your vacation. It's called life. Every day is a vacation.
Yeah.
So yes.
So they snapped a picture of all of us with our fancy
Oh,
dessert.
that's fabulous.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, that was the level of just, again, professionalism, joy, and just amazing
So
staff.
the Trident Hotel and of the O'Berry group, you can't go wrong with either of those
No.
brands.
Pamper yourself.
in
Plus, it's
India.
close to the airport, Paul.
Yeah, it's really fantastic.
Yeah.
So that is what we had today to finish up our month in India. And we
I
did-
think we could go on and on and on and
Well,
on.
yeah.
I don't
It
know.
really sounds so, I mean, this part of India is really fascinating.
It is.
Tamil Nadu is
It
a
is.
very prosperous state, and you do feel it's a differing sense of how well the local governments are functioning, or how maybe prosperous the economy is. Of course, Chennai, which is where the Trident
It's
was,
zippy.
is
A few million
well,
people.
it's been embraced by a lot of Western economies as one of the hubs for the call centers, the tech call centers.
Yes, I was gonna say.
And we've
tech.
met over the years, young people that work in the tech call centers of Chennai. So it's definitely one of the, they service clients all over the world, around the clock because of where they are. If you have to call HP in the middle of the night, you might get Chennai.
Well,
So,
and because we were kind of in rural Auroville for almost a month, and then we come in to Chennai, it was like we just got honked and honked because everybody just lives that way on their scooters. So here we are back in, sensory overload. And then, of course, we fly on to Bali the next day, and we arrive in Bali. And, there's like in the south, there are so many tourists and the traffic is super congested, and the honking is minimal. And our driver said to us, he goes, yes, I've had an Indian tell me, when there's a big jam up, he's like, just honk the horn. And it's like, it's just like, that's supposed to move,
That's supposed to take care of everything.
stone wall. And
I
it's
would
like, no,
say-
we don't do that
So
in our culture.
We have some, we've gathered some data, and I would say that 80% of the time the honking is just completely ignored.
But
It's really funny.
seriously,
They just, maybe 20% of the time, somebody on a bike that
Yeah.
hears a honk might move over about 5 or 6
If-
inches.
if
Just,
that.
because there's a passing and
But you
progress.
don't really
But,
see
we think of like
collisions.
honking as like step one of road rage, and sometimes, I mean, it's we learned that it's safety. But in Oregon, those people that don't know, that's an old, sort of like, it's a misnomer now. But like, there'll be no honking in Oregon. We don't honk.
Oh, no.
So, but if you do honk, it's it's typically a safety feature, and that's how the
Yeah.
Indians use it. When you first go there
I
and you
don't
hear
know.
all the honking, you think, okay, is this like aggression? And in my opinion,
not.
it's not. It's not.
Nobody
It's safety.
seems like, real pissy about, traffic that's just going and it's endless. So by the time we got into Chennai and then to our hotel room in the Tranquility at the Trident, it was like,
Thank goodness.
Well,
So,
that's
India is something that we just kind of do
Right.
in doses.
Right.
And when you're ready to do Auroville with us,
Yeah, let us know.
yeah,
Well-
Paul is so good about assisting people. He'll book you, he'll make sure you get here quickly, efficiently, and for the best price.
Right, and we have just a minute left, and we can tell you a little bit, speaking of India, we do plan to be back in Sri Lanka until the beginning of March or so.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be coming back to India in March of 2025. That's our plan anyway. And we're gonna go back to Varanasi in the Uttar Pradesh state.
Yes,
And on the Ganges River.
and our friend who is just retired, his name is Guile. His
He'll-
mother passed like a year and a half ago.
He'll be with
And
us.
since he was in elementary school and saw a National Geographic film about Varanasi, he's just been drawn. He thinks he maybe in another life
So
comes from there. So
so
he's
stay-
bringing mom's
yeah.
ashes.
And we'll,
And we're doing ceremony on the
ceremony in
Ganga River.
Varanasi.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that, and thank you again.
Oh, you're so welcome. Well, I hope we're going to do another one before March.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
oh,
definitely
so-
will. We'll talk about what's next.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
we've got some real good ideas for some podcasts, and tomorrow we leave for another week at a naturist resort at Bali Nature without an E. So
so we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
love you, Nancy.
Don't get sunburned.
We
No,
won't.
we've been doing really well. So
Bob-
this one's for you, hon.
Oh, thank you.
Different
you.
color.